Okay, greetings everyone. This is March 25th and the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Search Committee. And we have present our committee members, Ed Gibson, Diana Fetterman, Kate Swistak-Rooks, and myself, Chris Fowles, and Cindy Palmer representing the planning board for our meeting today. And I know John and Ian are not able to come, and I haven't heard from Sierra. So I'll keep an eye out in case anybody shows up. But basically, I think we can keep this relatively short and sweet. We'll try to get efficient here. I know everybody's got lots of other things to do today too. So I don't see anybody out here from the public to join us in. So I think we'll just dive right into our magical one-stop grant application for the expressions of interest. And let me see if I can share this screen. I've had a few issues with my documents, but hopefully this will work. Oh, magic. Okay, so this is the document that's actually in Google Docs right now. And yeah, where's my little cursor gone to? Good question. Come on now. It needs to let me scroll, but it will make my, okay, come on. Here we go, slowly. So eventually, once this goes into the real system, these autofill things will show up, and that may put us in some category or another. I guess they know whether we're a gateway city or what highway division we're under, etc. So once we put in Southampton, a lot of that stuff will populate. So we'll kind of skip over this first intro page here. And I think I'd like to kind of go through this pretty simply. We're almost at a final point, I'd say. We're closer each time we've met, and I think this really needs to be our last group meeting because it just gets to a point where, I think we're all kind of running on empty with our brain cells here, and sometimes it's easier to do it individually to go in and add something. But we have, I think, some very good background information in section 2. Diana did a whole bunch of that. And Diana, you and I just still need to coordinate just to be sure that I have your latest version. I don't think I do, so I wanted to just double check that at some point. But
I did. I sent it to you today.
Oh, you did? Okay. I've been out at other meetings, so I'm sorry. I didn't check my last email. So I'll weave that back in then.
Yeah.
The one thing I did put in, I think you had gotten maybe from Jen, our treasurer, was our bond rating. So this AA negative, AA minus, is that right?
Minus, AA minus.
Okay.
Double A minus, you would
Double
say.
A minus. There we go. So shall we just take a minute and just read through this and just see briefly this paragraph here, and just paragraph and a half. I think character-wise, we're good in terms of our length. I'm not too worried about putting in too much. If anybody has any thoughts, I know Ed, you hadn't had a chance maybe to see the latest version of this, so.
Well, maybe I should read what I propose if I can get out of here and go there.
Sure. We debated earlier on about whether we called the smart growth strategy, but Cindy convinced us to leave smart growth in there because it is something that the kinds of things we are pursuing really fit into the kind of definition of smart growth. I wasn't sure if it was an actual program or not, but I think in small letters like this, it's probably not.
So, but after that part about being a bedroom community, I wrote, but with a growing population, Southampton has the opportunity to expand its own economy by developing the commercial activities currently grouped in 2 locations at the north and south ends of town, approximately 6 miles apart. Southampton can provide more shopping, business, and entertainment destinations for its residents and neighbors. This focused approach would still preserve the town's rural character while also increasing tax revenue and creating a more dynamic economic landscape.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, we're supposed to, the question asks about opportunities. And,
right.
You know,
okay.
So That's how I tried to couch it.
Yep. Go
Can
ahead,
I
Cindy. Yep.
interject, Diana, that none of you have seen it, but I drafted out a third potential project.
I put it in here. We'll get it here.
Oh, okay, but my point is,
Yep.
in this overview paragraph, and at some point, it's the concept of the mixed use development, you know, that it's not just residential, not just commercial, but mixed use. So you can see what I wrote in my paragraph, and it comes right out of our master plan strategies. So I'm just saying that right now. We can see if that could be
what it
interjected.
worked is to insert the word by developing the commercial mixed use activities.
Maybe so. That could be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
All
good
right.
to have it in the background piece on here. This
Yeah.
section is the background to the specific initiative. So sure, that's good. But I like what you just read there, Diana. That sounds good. It rolls right off your tongue there. That's great.
Well, you have it. I sent it to you today.
Thank you. No, I will put it back in here then, and we'll be sure we do that. I will just try to get us down here, and we'll kind of get through. Yep.
Well, then in the second part, if you didn't put it in, I tried to kind of paraphrase what Cindy told me from the survey, the MPIC survey.
Okay. Yeah, I did not put it in. So this is unchanged from like last week, I think. So yeah, I did not catch up with your last email then. I'm sorry. Yeah.
In 2020, the Master Plan Implementation Committee undertook a townwide survey to gauge residents' priorities. About 16%, parentheses 896, of the population of 5,748 adult residents responded. Among the initiatives that found strong support, affordable and accessible single-family homes and grant-funded rehabilitation of limited income homes. I was trying to think of a better way to say limited income homes. Doesn't really mean much to me, but then low-end homes sounds insulting, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Semicolon, commercial development at major intersections. This is what we found support for in the survey. Semicolon, a public utility to improve internet service. Semicolon, renewable energy generation, buying land to preserve open space, building a bike path, building a public safety complex, investing in public sewer and water in commercial areas, and building or repurposing a municipal building for a multi-use meeting and community center. I don't know if we need all that.
Yeah. So that was in which question? The challenges and obstacles to progress, or community?
Yeah.
Or
that's the second paragraph now of question 2 under section 2, question 2. Describe the main challenges. I guess that's not really.
I'm not sure if it's challenges. As you were reading it, it sounds more like it's in activities that we've undertaken.
Okay, then that could be the.
And all we
I
did.
think that's where I meant to put it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And all we did, we had a shorter version. All we had said was nearly 20% of registered voters responded to a community survey that talked about them, but we didn't go into detail about that.
There, just
okay. Yeah. Probably. Okay. It probably fits in there. We'll have to just see where we are character-wise on that and how much of it we need to put in there.
I think there's plenty of room character-wise. It depends whether they're counting spaces as characters.
Yeah, it's not totally clear on this one. The way they've couched it, they just say 2,000 characters in this beginning part, I think. But if anywhere, it fits in number 3 of this section here. Kind of gets there. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Like so even with characters with spaces, when I move that graph there, we have 1894. So we're still okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So that's basically the backdrop to the whole spiel here. Oh, stop. No. What are you doing? Oh, gosh. Hold on. What are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. Oh, Lord. I don't want to reload. I'm gonna try reloading, heaven forbid. Oh dear. So did it, okay. I tell you, my computer's just not been happy with me today. I think it's getting tired. Every time I turn around, it's putting up some message for me. Come on here. All right. So there was nothing under the Community Compact Best Practices Program. I believe we thought, Ed, right, that we didn't have anything under what we've done with Community Compact has been basically IT. Is that right? Or is that not right?
No, because a number of years ago, they did the that Jacob's wage study under Community Compact, and
Okay.
they did something else under Community Compact.
Okay. All right, then maybe could you research that little thing for us?
Sure.
Because I think we didn't, if we did do something there, we should answer it. I guess I was focusing on the IT part for some reason, but I don't know why. But even that, we've done something with IT too. So I don't know why I was
Yep.
thinking we didn't have to answer it. But this is the Community Compact Best Practices Program. So whatever that was all about, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I think the other thing was a charter study. So I'll double check that and let you know.
All right, thanks. All right, come on. All right. Oh gosh. All righty. This is just ridiculous. Hold on a minute. Let me get out of here and start again. I don't know what it's doing to me here. Not being happy. Wow. I think my internet is not very stable today here or something. Come on now. Where's all those techie people when I need them? Jeepers. Come on here. All right, let's keep going. Come on. Okay, under the economic tools, we had checked the master plan, and Cindy, you had told us the commercial zoning by right were the two main ones there. And then you had checked a few others at housing, at planning board. And so what we already have in place are the inclusionary zoning, the zoning that allows accessory dwelling units, approved housing production plan, designated local funds, and that's basically the CPA funds, and local property tax relief programs for seniors, eligible seniors. So those are the ones that we know that we have already in place. Now keep on going here, don't die on me. Okay, so the housing initiative, I think we're pretty good on. So this was talking about underutilized properties for affordable housing. And this was trying to, we decided not to actually specify which properties in here. By the time we hear back from them, we'll have to still narrow down something besides that middle road property that we were thinking about. But the idea would be to do some sort of site surveys, concept plans, market studies, whatever that might need to be done to look at any possible places that are vacant or unutilized properties to see if we could make use of them in terms of affordable housing. We did talk about the community survey in here as well. A lot of respondents said that they would face difficulty to afford their homes in the future and believe that their kids would not be able to afford a house in town. And then affordability for first home buyers, whether first-time home buyers or frankly, anybody outside of Southampton. It's not just Southampton, I guess. The lack of a variety of housing for seniors when they downsize, all of those were expressed as concerns. And then this price, sale price, I got in from Martha. Sale price for single family homes reached $325,000 as an average in FY21, and that was, she gave me a figure of $299, I believe it was, for 2019. So rather than putting in all that verbiage, I just said an increase of 9% in 2 years, which is pretty amazing, I think. And then from the survey, most people that responded actually do live in detached single-family homes, but would be interested in finding or seeing more development related to first floor, one level, maybe not first floor, one level, or I guess you have single floor condos or duplexes. We have sought to encourage the inclusionary bylaw in practice, but in reality, we are still sticking more or less with the 9 homes rather than 10. So our one affordable home is oftentimes gone by the wayside. Part of our issue with the survey was that, oddly enough, in spite of the desire for more affordable housing, we did not see a correlation with smaller land lots. There was a desire to have bigger open space around people's property rather than more houses on smaller lots. So it's kind of a not really a contradiction, but it's kind of hard to figure out what we would want to do there the best.
Can I add something that you may have all heard before, but one thing that's been brought up at the planning board is because we do not have municipal wastewater sewerage plant, we all have to have leach fields, and thus lot size is directly affected by that. You know, in other words, you have to have enough space for a septic system.
Right, exactly. So that is part of our challenge. So this is pretty much the ending of the housing one. Now they will, they do have a list of town-owned properties, so they would still do some more research in terms of if we were awarded anything, you know, which ones they would want to be looked at. But I think we mentioned last time that through the PVPC, the housing combination with planning board is going to have some technical assistance to update their housing production plan over the coming months. And so that will give them some other ammunition going forward. So I feel relatively okay. We need to do some final editing, but at least we've got some information that's somewhat sensible, I think, for the housing one. Public safety one, still kind of going round and round on this. I went back to Ed's earlier idea, which was, and this was sort of a site feasibility for the public safety complex was, I think, the title of what I was trying to say here. But basically to research viable properties within a mile radius of the center of town for building of a public safety complex. But the project would also review studies done on a town-owned property, and determine whether a new site design could make it a viable site for a reasonable cost. And so that's looking at the current site that we own behind the fire station. I know we've gone through the study before and spent $35,000 on it, but you know, is there anything else that can possibly be done with that study? Because it still is of, you know, the best sort of central location for response times. I didn't hear back from Ian or John whether they'd had a chance to check in with the Marmon Keystone folks or not. But if we did this notion of within a mile of the radius of mile radius, then that would include that potential property, I would imagine, to be researched. What was in here was just basically the fact that we haven't been able to do anything really with either of these locations for the police or the fire, and just providing some of the historical background. And this paragraph to me, as I read it, feels a little bit out of order. So I may have anybody's thoughts about what belongs where. I'm hesitant on a lot of dates in here, but at the same time, it kind of gives the background. So I was wondering whether the background of the, you know, in 1948, if that couple sentences might be the beginning of the paragraph to provide the backdrop for the history of how old our facility is, and then talk about what the project would intend to do. So that was just a question I had in my own right. But basically, neither facility is adequate or has a terribly healthy working environment, as we've discussed before. project is critical for a small growing town. Fire trucks barely fit in the station and certainly don't leave any clearance for personnel. As John was talking about, all their turnout gear is right next to the fire engines. So as they're getting dressed to go out on a fire call, they're putting on their equipment basically in the midst of the exhaust of the fire trucks and whatever else. So without going into too many details, because I don't want us to get into other kinds of trouble, I just thought that this would be somewhat descriptive, but also just say that it doesn't most likely, both the fire and the police station don't really comply with current codes or standards, and people are working in substandard conditions, and they create a potential liability for the town in terms of the structures that we have right now.
Can I ask a question there? Do we have any like actual sightings of not meeting code or not meeting basic criteria? I mean, is there anything like very specific other than just common sense?
I don't know that for sure, and if we did, I don't know how much we want to call that out. I mean, I think that was one of John's questions, is do we want to risk an inspection somehow by saying what we're saying? I don't know. Ed, do you have any thoughts on that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably say better off staying away from it at this point.
Yeah, just keeping it kind of general like this. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yep.
Yeah, and I just said potential liability, so it's just like kind of in the future, maybe. I don't know. And then under the third part of it, land was acquired, a site development analysis, preliminary design concept, and costing of the complex, as well as public meetings, occurred in 2015. The cost resulting from the study was prohibitive, and project was rejected by the voters. But and what this should be is this site remains, or one of the sites remains best option in terms of emergency use time, is already on unutilized town property, and this project would have to reimagine the site to adequately meet our needs. Challenges, however, include the need to respect and save at least a portion of the historic facade, possibly siting of an entranceway for vehicles separate from the town hall, and addressing the ledge wetlands proximity and adequate septic system on a hillside location. So I know John was saying that a lot of this was done in that earlier study. I just don't know where to go with it without actually redoing the same study, but just wondering if there's different ways to look at the land from however they might have designed it 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know. As we talked about the other day, we don't own all the way up the hill, unfortunately, so we don't own up to High Street. We just have a small portion there. And we do have wetlands to the right side of the fire station right now. But these are some of the challenges that John had mentioned in the last meeting to that particular site. I mean, there comes a time when we're just going to have to figure it out somehow. I just don't know what our options are without having any other viable land to go to. So does this sound like it's too loosey-goosey and we need to not do this? I mean, I'd hate to pass up the idea of trying to do something with a public safety complex.
Yeah, I would leave it like this.
Yeah.
I think we should just go for it. I mean, I also think it's worth acknowledging that it will support further growth and development in the town. I mean, it really is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to remember, guys, and you would remember better than me, before I got back to town permanently, the whole notion of having basically a 24/7 service right in town for our fire department, especially. That came up at some point in time. No, there might be a couple sentences, if anybody has any memory of that could be valid to put in here about, again, with the notion of the growing town, we've already committed to, this kind of service to our residents, but we need an adequate facility for them to work out of, kind of thing.
I would think the chief could help you with the facts on that.
Yep.
I don't remember anything about that.
No, okay.
No, I just remember a lot of talk about sharing an ambulance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was maybe, I don't know, for having the 3 shifts, right, of the
Right.
fire and, is it fire and police, right? I mean, it's round the clock, right? Okay. And so then Cindy, we're coming to the one that you had put here. So this jumpstart to mixed use commercial residential development. Okay. So I'll let you,
Well, just basically,
through, yeah.
I referenced that in our 2013 master plan, and it didn't show up as one of the top priorities for the update. That isn't the point. It's still in the master plan. And
Yeah.
that is that planning board was listed as being required to do the mixed use, to establish a mixed use commercial residential district with flexible development requirements to direct future housing unit growth to appropriate areas in town. I should have put that in quotes because that's exactly the wording. To achieve this, we'll need to adopt, and this is also another strategy, we need to adopt a mixed use overlay district with standards for mixed use developments to allow different uses in one building, such as retail on the first floor and residential on the second. And we need to also develop a, did I leave it in there? No, yeah, an overlay district, mixed use overlay district.
Yeah.
These are all specific strategies that are outlined clearly in our 2013 master plan. We at the planning board, and I've heard this over and over and over again, you know, we are in fact an elected volunteer body. We are not professional planners. We may have different levels of expertise. That's not in here, but the point is we need the help to do it. And so, and what is in here is that without an established plan, Southampton risks fragmented and haphazard commercial development at the whim of developers who may even request zone changes. And we are facing that right now. They basically are saying, you know, this is where we want to put something. This is, you know, inconsistent with our master plan. We don't, it's not just, you know, it's a nice spot. Let's put something here that's commercial. So we need to have some assistance on that. One of the questions was, is there been progress? There's been no appreciable project. One thing progress. We have identified that one of the barriers is the lack of municipal sewerage or, you know, wastewater treatment.
Right.
So I feel like this is an opportunity to at least get some assistance around this pie in the sky dream option here.
Right. And I think you talked about a planner in the last question. Let me just, you had not put in anything in the second one here. So
Right.
So I've added something here. Part of it is what I had from the last meeting, but the stuff that's spaced out funny, I don't know why I did it. I copied this from the open space plan, and I don't know what kind of spacing is in the open space plan, but it's all over the place. But let me read it because it's very hard. The total is, so this was trying to figure out how this idea for a project would align with our economic goals. So this seemed relevant to me, but you can tell me if it is or not. Total assessed value of all taxable properties in Southampton was over $750 million in 2019. About 94% of the total taxable properties in Southampton are assessed as residential. Commercial, industrial, and personal property comprise less than 6% of the total tax base. So that kind of puts it back into the bigger picture of the town situation. And so then just reiterating that the project would be to determine the feasibility of further developing the limited commercially zoned space. And what we had said the other day was particularly at the north end of town, when we can take that out if we want to, but making an existing vacant, I don't know what we're saying, making an existing vacant store usable and taking advantage of existing public water and sewer. So that was the whole Easthampton connection.
Yeah.
So
you might want to add something about how we tax commercial property at the same rate as residential property.
right, yeah, that's true.
And also, you might, instead of just say the north end of town, you might want to somewhere insert the word gateway, because that was, you know, it is one of our gateways to town.
At the North Gateway? or at the gateway.
At the North Gateway is fine.
Yeah.
Vacants, making an existing vacant store usable.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really.
It may not be vacant then, you know,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know. I mean, it's currently vacant. We also know that big building that was formerly the motorcycle store, the Harley store, has been purchased, you know that, right? So.
It's been sold. We haven't heard what it's going to be used for, apparently.
Right,
Yeah.
that is correct, but
Yeah.
it's been sold, yeah, right.
So
So
maybe
I don't
not
know,
a
I
big-
don't know about making reference to that.
No.
I think part of the thinking is that somebody with the right kind of planning expertise and engineering expertise, I mean, we've even talked about this, could there be, you know, multi-stories on existing buildings?
Mhm. Yep.
Could there be, you know, some other kind of development?
Mhm.
We know that there's a lot of commercial zoned property that is for sale. You see the for sale signs. I mentioned that before,
Mhm.
although I'm told there's a lot of wetlands and that even the bank there, that's the credit union, even when they built, I guess they
Mhm.
had many challenges, but it happened. They did it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
So that just this section though about our tax base and so forth just seemed to provide that link back to the overall thing to me, but we can definitely do some rearranging there. And then the last part, Cindy, this is where you'd put in the no professional planner and staff down in
Right.
the readiness of you know what are the activities that need to be undertaken. So the idea would be, in this case, it would be some capacity building too, where they might provide some technical assistance of a planner to help do this kind of thing, I think.
When I brought this up at the planning board, one of the planning board members immediately said, can we get a grant to hire a planner?
Mhm.
My thought was, this is a sort of short-term plan. I mean, a short-term grant. It's not
Mhm.
like it might fund a planner for a period of time, but it
Yeah.
certainly would be a full-time situation.
Right.
Am I correct on that?
Well, possibly. It wasn't
You're
totally
correct.
clear. But I think there might be some under the technical assistance capacity one. There could be somebody like a planner to work with us, but for a specific project, not forever and ever. But yeah, that did seem to make some possibilities for that to happen. And so this one, I think you checked a couple extra ones. On all of these, we put in special project in rural or small towns because that's under the 7,000 population. I stopped at these categories here: capacity building, planning, zoning, site prep, pre-development, permitting, because these two, the vertical and horizontal, are pretty much shovel-ready ones. So I figured we probably wouldn't be in that category yet. And that's basically it. There's section 4 had, if we had any other information we wanted to provide. And this is again out of the, let me read it out of the open space plan. I don't know what the deal is with this spacing. I've never seen spacing like this. So it may or may not be relevant, but I grabbed it while I saw it. So the greatest increase in developed land has been in the form of residential lots greater than a half an acre in size. Between the years 1971 and 2005, there was a 91% increase in large lot residential lands in town. And this has resulted in approximately 700 acres of new large lot residential development in the community since 1971. This pattern of development is consistent with the Southampton zoning bylaw, which requires a minimum lot size of at least a half an acre in all of its zoning districts. The residential rural zoning district, which covers 62% of town, requires a minimum lot size of 60,000 square feet, or approximately 1 1/3 acre for any single family home. So that's just extra information that didn't seem to fit elsewhere. And they just said, if you have anything else you want to share, I thought, well, if anything, maybe it goes there. If we like it. If we need to update it, we could probably figure out something there if we had to update it beyond 2005. I don't know if anything came up during the open space update part, Cindy. I don't know that there was. I didn't see it directly, but I haven't read every page of it either. So
Is this possibly this place? This is a question. I don't have an answer, but this is a question. Is there a place, pardon me, is this a place where we want to insert anything about where we're located between pretty large, large-ish metropolitan, not really metropolitan areas, that we're an attractive community, but we really struggle with even our town budget, that we don't have a lot of commercial or any other than our residential tax income. And Ed's right in the middle, and you are right in the middle of budget planning right now. To me, this is a critical point for our town, that we don't,
Right.
I mean, I look at what's going on in Easthampton, and it just seems like they have project after project after project,
I know.
and we can't do anything. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on this, Ed? Is this something that we could speak of? And we're not really a hill town. We're sort of an animal unto itself.
Yeah.
Well, we're a bedroom community, number one, and we don't have the same opportunities that Easthampton does, because Easthampton's been doing projects that are renovating old mills and whatever. We don't have those type of old, shall we say, dilapidated buildings. But yes, we definitely need a way to figure out how to attract additional commercial businesses to Southampton. Yeah, and areas to do that. And there's a lot of different, shall we say, thoughts or ways to go about that. I know that there's, shall we say, some concern about commercial expansion through what I will call the center, right through here, because of some of the historic aspects and whatever. But we do have areas in here that are either already commercially zoned, or I forget what the other term is that we have that
We have three zone industrial, you mean?
No, not industrial as much. We do have some of that too, but I'm thinking of like where the subway shop is and whatever. I don't know. They've
been grandfathered in, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, some of that, it's actually a different zoning area. But one of the strange thoughts that I had from some of the places that I've traveled to is, okay, maybe you do allow some type of, and I won't say straight commercial, but business aspects along some of those areas, but perhaps you put some type of zoning restrictions on it, is that those businesses have to look a certain way so that they blend in with the existing community and what have you. And I've seen some interesting things along the way where, okay, yeah, those building facades and whatever have to look like buildings in the 1900s or 1800s. I've been to Hilton Head Island where they've got commercial properties, and okay, the Walmart and other places are set back from the road where you really can't see them. They have very strict signage regulations that go along with that, and they utilize hedges or landscaping buffers so that you actually can't see the large building or whatever. So there's a bunch of different aspects to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think back on your point, Cindy, we touched on that a little bit in the background part on section 2 here, just talking about sort of describing the town a little bit here, the rural character and being a bedroom community, and sort of being being faced with a housing boom, because we're one of the fastest growing towns in the valley. So we've kind of set that stage right there, but
Okay.
it might not be bad to reiterate something in closing at the end. I mean, this is a sum total of all that we have to submit right now as we clean it up. But I mean, this is it. So what's people's general thoughts? Are we, with a little bit more tinkering in the next few days, do you think we're ready to try and do this? I mean, our timeline's going to run out of this. I think it's April 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd like to get everything kind of wrapped up by Tuesday. So I've got a couple of days to understand and probably screw up on the submission part, because it's one of those different weird electronic versions. But I don't know.
I'd probably just tweak it a little bit, and if necessary, and go with it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, we
Is it-
said that we're volunteers, so maybe that'll give us a break.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, okay. Well, I think, a lot of it, I think I'm really happy with section 2 there, Diana. I think you did a great job on that, and I will find your most recent version and be sure I've got the right version that I'm working from. And Ed, if you will just come up with, 2 or 3 things for us, maybe on that community compact, if you could.
Sure. Yep, I've got it marked down here. So
Whatever we might have done at that point, and if there was any outcome of it that, that we've adopted or not adopted, just to let that be known, I guess.
sure.
I think the housing one is, pretty okay. I don't know if Sierra wanted to add anything more to it, but seems to be read okay. I guess I'm a little stymied by the whole public safety complex one, frankly, but I don't know what else to do with it. We can at least, once, if they come back to us with questions, we can tell them what's been done, and they can say, well, you don't want to do the same thing all over again, so here's your choice. I mean, I guess they should be the ones telling us how we can move forward rather than us trying to figure it out. So
That's the type of direction we're looking for. So
yeah, exactly. I keep thinking that we all, that we have to have all the answers, and we don't actually, because we're asking them for help. So I get myself into a knot over nothing. But I think if, and it may be easier, are people comfortable working? I know, Kate, you're comfortable working in Google Docs, but is everybody else, or would you rather that I just pull it out, or you send me something separately, or do you want this pulled out so you can see it? I know Cindy, Diana, do you work in Google Docs or no?
I haven't much. I mean, I'll
Uh-huh.
do whatever's necessary, whatever's easiest for you. But yeah, I don't I've only, kind of looked
Yeah.
at Google Docs, and I
Yeah.
don't really understand how I can change things in there, and
Yeah.
Well, I have a consultant in Google Docs. She's my 13-year-old granddaughter. And so, and
There you
she
go.
may be consultant to all of us.
There
And
you
that's
go.
what the kids are doing. So,
So like right in here, Diana, when you put your cursor over on the side, it'll say add a comment, or
okay,
there's
well,
another
right now I can't even see my whole Zoom thing. So
one. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I don't know how to make it big again. I just have a little thing.
Okay. Well, basically on the right side of your document, when you move your cursor around, there'll be like a little square that pops up, and it says add comment. There's another one that says make a suggestion, or I don't
Okay,
know.
I'll try it. Yep, I can.
Kate,
try
you can tell us, right? I mean,
I
it's
should
basically,
learn. Yeah.
so like, I don't know if you can see this now. I just hit that thing, and it highlights the whole thing, and then I'm gonna, you write a little comment in the box so that people can see what you're suggesting, and then you can,
Yep, and if you don't need to comment on the whole paragraph, you can like highlight text and just make a suggestion, or so,
Okay.
but it doesn't edit the whole body of the text, so you can kind of see what the initial thought was.
Yeah. See,
okay.
my practice is just to change it the way I want it, and that's that.
Yep, understood. So like if I did this, Kate, if I just highlight that and do an
Yeah.
add comment, Okay, and then I would highlight it first and then put a comment, so that's all it would do, and then you'd cancel out of
Okay.
it
All right.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it almost in Word, really. I mean, it's a similar.
How do we know when it's ready, for the final?
Well, what we'll do is people can go through and put in their various thoughts and comments and additions, and just we'll go through and look at it, and then if I'll probably end up going through it and asking questions if I have any, or inserting it, and then I check the box and say yes, I agree, and then the comment goes away.
Okay.
So we'll run it back through everybody before we're ready to go for submission anyway. But I'm hoping we can kind of do it this way. But
is there any other particular areas that you feel like need more content or need more facts to support it? Or do you feel like, I mean, I feel like it's really well written. I don't want to, work on things that you don't think will be helpful. But is there any area that you're like, hey, I think we need to add a little bit more meat to this section?
It's hard to, I don't know for sure. I feel a little bit better with the stuff that we pulled in here. Certainly on the stuff that Cindy just contributed. We didn't have much on that third idea last week. And then adding in something from the open space plan is some of this tax space thing that seems to ground it a little bit more. That's what I was looking for. There's really no economic plan for the town. Ed, is there, other than the master plan? I couldn't find anything that would be what some towns might call their economic development plan. We don't have such an animal, do we? Other than a chapter in the master plan that I'm aware of, right?
Not that I have seen.
Yeah, so I think we we don't have a whole lot more to go on, and I don't know about, at this point, I think we're probably okay, Kate. I think if we get into any kind of request to say, okay, yeah, we think you should submit whatever, number 2 for a real proposal, then I think we're probably going to have to go in and do all that research and find statistics and stuff from other towns or whatever to kind of justify our position and our need. I think I'd not want to waste time on it right now, just because it would be a time sink. But certainly if there's things that don't read well, by all means, go in and make some comments. And I got to figure out I may just retype in this whole stupid spacing issue here. I don't know what's going on with that. But certainly if things don't read well, or things, you say this sentence doesn't, make any sense, it's too long, clarify it. I mean, just anything. I mean, feel free. Okay. But
try highlighting that paragraph and clicking the left orientation or left. So you shouldn't have to retype it. Try clicking that twice. Yeah, it's not doing it.
Not doing it.
It's some formatting that got carried over, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I may
you
just
could-
have to.
If you could somehow make it show you the paragraph, or line, it's either paragraph or line ending. And if you could make that visible, then you could just delete all those. But I don't know how you do that in Google Docs.
Yeah, it's a single. No, I don't know. Well, I'll fiddle with it a little bit more. I may just retype it. That's
Yeah,
all right.
and the thing is, once this is all online, right? The application.
It will be, yeah. So I will end up cutting and pasting from here into the WebEx application thingy. Yeah,
Can you save as you go with that?
I think so. I've got to go in. I need to spend some time tomorrow and just be sure that I understand the whole application form itself.
Well, why don't you try that and see if, the characters that we're counting are close to what they're counting, so that if we have to cut a lot
Yeah.
of it, we know.
Right. Good point. Yep. We'll do that. So I'll fiddle with that a little bit, but yeah. So I think that's the main thing. So I think, Kate, I mean, if you think of something, by all means, I know you're so busy. I just don't want to have you do research that we may not need right now. Cause I think
That's why I'm asking, because I don't
Yeah,
want to overthink it. But if there's something you think we need, just feel free to ask.
okay.
And I'm going to have to sign off and go
Yep.
to another meeting. So
Yes.
good
Thanks
seeing you all.
Thanks much.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
we'll just get the community compact stuff from you, Ed. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm
Well-
gonna depart also,
Yep,
okay?
okay, good.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks,
Bye.
Cindy. All right, well, guys, I think we're gonna pretty much end up here anyway. We're almost at the end of an hour. I think, let's just not spend time doing other business today, if that's okay. The minutes can wait yet another meeting. I don't think it's that crucial. Do we want to? I was trying not to have us have to get together again before we actually submit it, given that this is the gist of what we have here. What do you all think? I mean, we'd be really hard pressed. I mean, I'd like to try and start working on it over the weekend and with a little luck, get it in on, say, Tuesday, because I think it's due, I'd have to look at my calendar, but I think it's due Thursday. So I'd like to get it in a day or so ahead of time. I hate doing stuff at the last minute. So I think if the easiest way would be to make any comments here or shoot me a separate email or whatever, rather than having another meeting on this particular topic. I think we'll be beating a dead horse by the time we're done here.
Okay. Sounds good
Okay.
to me.
Okay, so do we want to wait and do, I don't know, like, schedule something for a couple weeks out? Either the 8th or the 15th of April, maybe?
Either works.
Yep,
Yeah.
do that.
Okay, well, let's see April 8th, just in case there's something that comes up that we haven't thought about. So let's try for April 8th. I'll schedule something that at the same time then, if this works. And Kate, I know this is taking you out of your work day. I know it's not the most convenient. How is this working for you?
Nope, it's as long as you're okay with me possibly getting interrupted, it's fine.
No, that's okay. It's more your timing too. It's a toss up really, whether you do it now or at dinner time when you're home with the family. So it's like, I don't know which is worse.
If I'm lucky, because sometimes it's too hard to make it home before the meeting, so I end up work,
well-
So it's fine. Either is fine.
Okay, well, this seems to work a little bit for most people. So let's try this again and we'll do that. So with that in mind, let's just have a motion to adjourn and call it quits for today.
All right, I'll second your motion.
All right, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, good. So again, this is in Google Docs now, and Diana, I will look for your email and edit whatever you had put in that background section that I didn't capture correctly, okay?
Yeah, okay, because I think it's too much for me to try to do it in Google Docs.
Yeah, no, I'll move it into there, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
But please feel free to go in and just play with the comment things and see what you want to do, or just move things around. It's fine. You can move them around and it'll just show that you've moved it, I think, right, Kate? If you move a sentence around, it'll say that Diana moved this or something, right? Or something.
If you put it on edit mode, you have to make it so it's showing edits.
Me or it's in Google Docs itself already.
It's in Google Docs. Yep.
Yeah, and it's already been I've shared the folder, so edit, I think it's on edit already. I think.
Okay, perfect. Then yeah, it should show whatever you make changes to.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you guys. I much appreciate it, and we will catch up with you. All right.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. Meeting is ending at 2:25.